Right, what have I got today? It's a large bush. Listen to this. Bush right through the floorboards. Right, so here we go. This is something from Draper. I'll rotate this around, just like a little ratchet there. So this is something from Draper. If you want to know the history of Draper, an English company, I've used them multiple times. I used to use them a lot when I did model work when I was a kid, and recently I've been getting more into their stuff, and quality wise I've been really impressed. So when I saw this at a massive reduced rate, I thought I'll have to get it. So this is part of the Draper, but it's Draper Expert. There is a difference, and I'll explain what that means, because there's a slight increase on DIN values when you go to the Expert range, so you may pay more as long as they... It depends where you buy them from. I mean, I got this directly from Draper, so I made sure I didn't get a copy. But pretty good so far. Right, so this is, and you can read it there, so it is the 26810. So if you're looking for it, that's where it is there, and there's all the bits and pieces. And again, I've left this on, so I haven't even put a socket on this yet. So this isn't a proper review. This is my preliminary thoughts. I thought there's no point in me giving this a mark. It's impossible because I haven't used it properly yet. So I'm just going over the basics of it because I was quite impressed when it came out of the box there. So the full name for this, even though they haven't bothered to put it on here, it is a flexible head, and I'll show you there. Flexible head, so like there. Extending, so you can extend it all the way out there. Bush, very nice. Reversible ratchet, so reversible in that it can go this direction and tighten, or you can use the little marker there and it will go the other direction. See that? So no matter which direction you want to do it, and it does have the nice little release there, which you can see is pushing out the pin there, you see. But again, I haven't put a socket on this. So I'm going to do more testing and do a proper review of this. So this is, again, preliminary only. So, and in the middle, it just spins freely there. So it has to be in one or the other. There you go. So I should take this off really so you can get a proper look at it. So let me have a look. There's only knives. There's one. Right. Let's get this. Well, normally ones like this, you just cut these daft little tabs off, don't you? So let's get that cut off. Bear with me, whilst we have technical difficulties. Normally a couple of tabs on, and if you cut them, that should come off, and of course it doesn't. There you go. Right, it's snapped off. There you go. Just plastic there. Right, so we can get a nice, get that in the bin. Boosh. Get a nice 4K view of this. I've done this in 4K, highest quality I can get away with. Look at that finish on that. That's like a Victorinox. Look at that. You'd think I was in a 3D ray tracing program. I mean, those striations, those lines that you might see, that's the grease, because look, if I do it that way, that's the grease off my fingers. But the actual finish on that, if you were to put a cloth over it, beautiful mirror-like finish on that. And this is part of their Expert range. And there's the head there, which you can stick. Now, this is I went for a 3/8 of an inch. The reason I went for that is because that's primarily what I would use at work. I do have heads for others. I'll have like a 1/2 inch, and I'll have the quarters sometimes. I've got some Milwaukee quarters, but that's what most of my stuff I'm going to be using, and it has a nice ball bearing there. Let's just check that. So again, this isn't a full review. Pretty nice, pretty nice. And Torx there, you have 2 Torx here, and there is a Torx somewhere else, I believe. Yeah, there. So if you want to make an adjustment on the flexible head, you can do that. And I'm going to get as much close-ups as I can. Look at that. Nice detent on that. And it'll take it all the way there. So that's as far as it will go. And then you can rotate it all the way that way. Not that you're going to use it like that, but you know, maybe you could. Maybe it's more like that if you're under something. But pretty decent build so far, just looking at it. That's nice and prominent. So if you've got gloves on, because sometimes if you're in the cold or whatever, you've got... I normally wear a pair of mechanics gloves. That's with an X, not mechanic. So I quite like that. Chrome vanadium. So let's go over some of the specs whilst I give you a close-up look at this. Right. So flexible head extending reversible ratchet. That's what they're calling it, because that's what it is. This happens to be the 3/8 of an inch square drive. There are other sizes available of this, and it is 72 teeth. So I'll show you that. So quite small range of motion there. I mean, I'll go over it when I do the full review, but very small. So, I mean, people sometimes say, well, how many teeth should you get? It depends what you're doing. It really depends. If you're doing fine stuff, you want more teeth, don't you? But for this sort of stuff, you're probably not going to need that level. And it depends on clearance. You know, look, if I'll hold that. So let's go at 90 degrees there. So there's 90 degrees, and let's see how far it needs to go. Look, very small increments that you need to go to get the pole to get the lock there, so that's pretty good. And I will probably take this to bits and have a look at what the pole looks like. I mean, you know, for service on these, putting grease in and stuff, out the factory they're absolutely fine, and that feels pretty decent. The whole thing is pretty solid as well. So this is hardened tempered chrome vanadium, and it should say it somewhere there, chrome vanadium. That is their claim. And it seems to be because I've downloaded the data sheets and I've had a good look through them, and it has a nice soft touch. So let's see what this looks like. So if I push my thumb in, look, and then let go, see that? So it's very soft and pliable rubber there. And then, now this is a bit misleading. This is all metal, just to prove it. I'm using a magnet off the back of here, look. So that all metal, obviously, has to be, including the little ring, all metal. And then this seems to terminate the metal, so I can still feel that there. Still feel it. It's very getting weak. I think that the metal ends somewhere about here, just near the R from the Draper Expert. And then, unfortunately, this, look, is plastic. So that, I would say the coating on that plastic is going to go over time. So that's a bit of a shame. If you're buying the Expert range, I would have liked to have seen that metal, or just don't bother. Just have this all rubber with a hole in so you can hang it up. That's what I would have done. So probably knock them off a little bit for that. But anyway, so what is Draper Expert? Because you can get Draper or Draper Expert. It kind of reminds me a little bit, but not entirely the same, as sometimes on the Godot stuff, you'll get the Godot Red, which is okay. It's okay. It's certainly not rubbish. And then you'll get the Godot blue, the standard stuff, which is the really heavy duty good stuff. I would say this is still heavy duty good stuff, and the reason why I know that is because the DIN, I think the DIN value on this is a 3122. So for those who don't know, the German Institute standardization, very similar to ISO values. They're set specifications that the tool should meet and be able to achieve. Now, in the case of Draper, you'll find that if they give you a DIN value, and I have checked this, I had a word with someone at Draper. Bear in mind, I bought this for my own money. I don't work at Draper. I've never worked at Draper. Just to bear that in mind. I'm being honest here. So I had a word with, I think it was Fran at Draper, who had a bit of sort of backwards and forwards. Now, what I wanted to know was, I said, in regards to the DIN values, are you just meeting them? And she said, no, what happens is, in Draper, they will go 10% higher than the DIN value. So that fills me with a bit of confidence. And in the aspect of the Expert range, which sometimes costs a little bit more, they are going to 20% above those DIN values. So those DIN values are, you know, claimably true, and then they're going beyond that. So that's really, really nice to see. I'm a big fan of that. So like I say, I mean, DINs and ISOs, you can look them up. Again, that's not what this is about, and this isn't a full review, but I just want to make that sure that people understood that. And I did have a word with Draper and confirmed that. So anything from the Expert range, you're going to get a 20% plus on the DIN value. So good quality, and in that regards, I had a good look. You are getting a lifetime warranty on this, not just a warranty, 2 years, 5 years, lifetime. So if this completely fails, something snaps and shares, or if you've used it within, sensible levels, you kind of be, launch it into space and saying, it's not worked when it hit the moon. As long as you are sensible with it, there is a lifetime warranty on this, so they will replace it. Brilliant. And the fair price on this, I think, was down to about 25 quid when I got it, which is about 30 bucks ish. Really good, because there's something that's a lot higher than that. I mean, I'll stick a link in the description, but it'll be direct to Draper's website. It's not an affiliate link. I'm not making any money off it. This is just an honest overview. And the only thing I haven't covered on this is extendable. So obviously the whole point of a ratchet like this is you want to drive your socket in, but you want to use a lever. The longer the lever, the easier it becomes. So if you just can't get the torque that you need, you can undo the collar here, and then it will click. So you can see there is a detent and then a travel groove. So in here there is like a ball bearing system there, and then that locks, and then you can, so that's quite extendable. In fact, it does tell you in metric, I think. There you go. So looking on the far left to there, so it will go from 280 all the way up to 380 millimeters. Very impressive. So you can go literally as long as that. That's so long it doesn't even fit in the camera's range of view there. So you're getting a hell of a lot more leverage there. Excellent. Instead of having to go, right, get the cheetah bar out, wallop, and crunch, and then start breaking things. And this will keep it within its tolerable levels of the workload that it's supposed to be doing. So the question someone's going to ask is, why would I need that when you've got brilliant impact drivers and impact wrenches now? You have, but sometimes it comes down to clearance. You can't always get an impact driver or an impact wrench in there. And other than that is the thing I have, and maybe I'm alone in this, but sometimes when I'm working on certain things, I need to know how tight it is. Now, I can guess how tight it is when I use an impact wrench or impact driver. You know, you get the juggers, and then you think, is it tight? Well, it bloody must be, because I've just absolutely hammered it with that. But I've no idea how tight. At least with this, you can give it a little, you know, a little chunk down. You can feel how tight it is, and you end up, after many years of doing a job generally, you end up with a feel of how tight something is. And it's something you learn over time, especially putting in fasteners and stuff. You know, you can tighten stuff down to ridiculous levels, but you're starting to destroy the threads and things like that. I need to know what's happening. So to me, sometimes I need to whip one of these out and do the job manually. And again, sometimes it can come down to clearance, or you know, you're going to have to do that and then do that, and you're just able to get to something, not something you can do with a electrical device. Anyway, there you go. So again, this isn't a full review. This is the sort of first thoughts of it. I really like it so far. I'll give you a nice close look. I've done this in HDR 4K, highest quality I can get away with. There you go. And then there's your switch lever. It feels rock solid. I think they've done a decent job. I might look at some more of the expert stuff, and that, look, that is really hard, but I like that because there's nothing worse than a floppy head, as I'm sure a lot of women can attest to. Look, no floppy head, no floppy headism, if that's a real term. See, that won't move unless you. I like that. I don't like the ones that are kind of almost free fall. They flop around. It's a bit annoying. So nice. And then I'll show you the full length of the extending section there. And again, beautiful finish, chrome vanadium, and all these marks are generally grease off my hands. The finish on it's fantastic. And then there's the handle. Boosh, beautiful, Draper Expert. Right, I'm not going to give this marks out of 10, but I'll just say so far, pros, lifetime warranty, brilliant price. I'll stick the link in the description again, not an affiliate link. I'm not trying to make money. I'm just trying to help people out on the channel here. Build quality feels fantastic, and it's an expert one, so it's the DIN that they're claiming plus 20%, so excellent. And then you've got the extendable when you think, oh, I can't find my cheetah bar, or come on, you know, time for some nut busting force, or whatever they call it these days. Right, there you go. Right, so thank you very much for joining me.